Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today's guest is someone who I have had the pleasure of knowing personally for years, and actually, we just cried a little bit before we started this podcast because we've been through it together, and she's had such an amazing journey. And she is an actor, writer, filmmaker, comedian, dog enthusiast, and the writer, executive producer, and actor in X Weeks Out, a movie about a woman who spirals when her husband of 7 years sends her a text asking for a divorce. Until, of course, she decides to prep for a bodybuilding competition. So definitely need to talk about that and check that out. So this creative woman has been competing for nearly a decade, you guys. And in the NPC with placings from dead last to overall wins, she stuck it out, never gave up, and she won her pro card at Masters USA's in 2023. So welcome to the show, Amanda Rivas. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I swear, one of my big goals, like in getting my pro card, was like, I want to be on the podcast. This is like, Confessions of a Bikini Pro. And I'm like, I need to get this so I can do this podcast.
That's awesome. Well, I've been gunning for you as well. All these years, I just been rooting for you. And although we met, and I'll share this with the audience, so we met probably, I want to say 2016 or 2017, potentially in a prep around probably 2017 when I was prepping for 2018 season through our old coaches. But I realized we actually, Amanda competed at my very first show that I ever did. We just hadn't crossed paths yet. And I just think it's been really cool watching her journey. So Amanda, before we get into all of that, we have a lot we can talk about, but I like to ask this question that you know. So this is, what is one thing you do or think about right before your heel hits the stage?
So I am I don't know, an extreme enthusiast for like the adrenaline rush. So when I was a kid and I was running track, I love to run. I loved competing, but the moment that I truly love is when you're on your mark and you get in the blocks and there's like a 1.5 second pause before the gun goes off. Mm-hmm. And I live for that 1 second moment.
Wow.
So right before I'm on stage, try to keep the cortisol down, but the nerves are going, the excitement's going, you see the girl walk out and right in front of you, you can see the lights, you see Sandy or the, tamer, you see the judges, and it's like something comes over me in that moment. And that is for me, that is what the fuel that keeps me going is like, you got this. You know what I mean? Like, let's go. Like, I truly think it's just such an exciting moment, and same thing for like, we don't really audition anymore in person. We do a lot of like stuff on tape, but I used to love that. You're sitting there and they go, Amanda Rivas, we're ready for you, and you walk through that door and it's like, I don't know, maybe it's knowing that like anything can happen at that point, and like you're walking into, I don't want to say your destiny because I don't know that like, right. That show is your destiny, but you're walking into an opportunity that like you don't necessarily know the outcome,
Yeah, so true. It's like you're at the decision table, like this is either yes or no. And you sometimes in bodybuilding and in acting, of course, you're going to get a lot of yeses. You're going to get a lot of nos. You're going to get yeses that turn into nos. You're going to get that overall win, and then you're going to get last place. You're going to get that, yes, you got the part, to no, we're not producing this anymore. So it's going to be a consistent thing in your life. So what kept you going? We can even look at it from both perspectives, but what is it that keeps you going back for more when you know that, hey, it hasn't always been a yes?
Once again, I think I'm a glutton for punishment. I I am a true believer that like every no is one step closer to a yes. And the feeling of that yes trumps all the no's. A lot of times, like you look back and you're like, man, it was so worth it to keep going. I love a good story arc. So I'm like, what happens at the end? Like if I keep reading, if we keep going, like what could happen? And I just always have had like a vision of my life and like that looks like. And I just I think that what keeps me going is just knowing that the possibility is there. And so why not? Like, why not, try? Why not go for it? I mean, obviously the work happens every single day, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, that is the bomb. Like that feeling too, when you know you've given everything you could, and at this point, the cards are on the table, really. And it's there is something special about not knowing what's going to happen. And I think that speaks to the drive you've really showcased over the last decade plus, because you've continued to show up even through all of that. And I think you need that type of spirit and that type of drive in order to sustain the getting back up even after some blows, right? Being able to continue to persist and persist. And you have. What do you think built that character in you? Aside from, yes, your love for adrenaline, but what built your character to keep going?
um, you know, I think as a child, I've been through a lot as a young person. And I was in this acting class one time, and they say like if you don't have kids, 'cause I don't have kids, but if you're acting with like a child and you need to act like that is your child, you can't like substitute your dog, even though like I love my dog, my dogs are my children. But that what um is going to connect you to that child is seeing that child as your young self.
Mhm.
And what does that child as you need, want, desire? Oh, I'll get choked up. But
Mhm.
I think the thing that keeps me going is like being the woman that I know that she really needed, that she looked to say like I had all these dreams and like, you know, and not a lot of opportunity. Um, does it happen, and me being the woman to look back to her and say, we can do this. I'm here for you. I believe in you. I think you would have talent. I think, you know, you're an incredible kid, And so I think the thing that keeps me going is like being able to do that for her and to be that for that little girl that just maybe felt left out or forgotten, and being able to show up for her.
That's so beautiful. I got chills while you were saying that. I could just feel that in me, like that true longing and drive to be able to look back, because or maybe look within and say like we did it. And you did go through so much growing up. When you were little, you technically died, and you were able to survive and come back to life. I believe it was 2 times. And you also,
Wow, yeah.
yeah. And
You remember that? Yeah, I guess I was sick as a kid. I had like a rare disease in my neck and my vertebrae, like my C1. And they said that, my bone was deteriorating. There was an infection, the bone infection. They didn't know like how to treat it. And so they were wanting to do a biopsy, which would have made me paralyzed and or I would die. And so my mom at the time was not wanting to take the risk so much of me maybe have living a different life. And so she said, like, let's just try something different. Like, is there any other thing? And this doctor came and we tried this antibiotic or this medicine. I lived in the hospital for some time, and then we tried it and it started to work, and I slowly came back to health. Yeah, I missed like my whole fourth grade year.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, oh wow, I haven't thought about that in a long time. And sometimes I forget about that
Yeah.
particular time in my life, and I focus more on like I guess the emotional stuff that happened to me as a kid, but yeah, overcoming that. I I just think that bodybuilders, a lot of bodybuilders, I feel like we just and women, we just don't have no quit.
Mhm.
And regardless of what we've gone through, that there's just something inside that's like that voice, I guess, that says, keep going. Just one more rep, one more step, one more day, one more, moment. Um, and then those moments add up.
So true. Yeah, when I'm really like struggling, I just tell myself one breath at a time.
Yeah,
One breath at a time. I don't want to go to the gym, one rep at a time.
yeah.
One day, like you said, there is that fight. It's almost like we know if we can accomplish one more, we're gaining that power, or maybe not even gaining, but unlocking that power that was within us and saying, reminding us like, you can do this. And I realize you said that usually you think more about the emotional things that you experienced as a kid, more so than that particular experience. So to be able to think back on the emotional experience as a child, that makes me think either you were really in tune as a kid or you were shut down as a kid and now you're reflecting. So I'd be curious to hear more about that and how that's influenced you as the woman you are now who does keep going.
I think that man, not to get too much into it because it's a long story, but
Whatever you want to
um,
say.
I think that for me, uh, I didn't necessarily get a lot of validation as a kid. I had my grandma that helped raise me. I mean, I have great parents, but
Yeah.
but um, they had parents have their lives and they go through their own things, and sadly a lot of times the child is someone that has to go through it with them, whether it's their fault or not their fault, or and I think that as a kid I was very in tune. I wanted people to love, I wanted people to get along, I wanted, you know, I've always been very like outgoing and a people pleaser, and just wanting everyone to be happy. And I think that that's why I'm a comedian. I like to tell jokes. I like to see people laugh. And I was like that as a kid. I was like very much like probably an annoying kid, you know, constantly like telling jokes and falling and, doing stuff that was what I thought was funny, to kind of like get through that pain, of feeling abandoned or feeling like unworthy or bad. I was like wanting to get good grades and like wanting to like, be a behave, you know. And then of course you go through that phase in your life where you're like, okay, well, if that's not working, let's try a different approach.
Yep.
Probably do the opposite. um but yeah, I think like i've I've had, as a kid, I just have a lot of resilience, you know um and a lot of people, a lot of adults around me as a kid would say, she's so independent, like she's very selfish, she only thinks about her. Well, when you're a kid who feels like that's your only option for advocacy, then that's what you do. You think about yourself. How do I keep myself safe? So
Definitely. There's so many things you said that are just very insightful in general. Like, I think as adults, we can look back, especially if you've been through things as a kid, you can look back and if you see a child who's exhibiting some of those behaviors, you almost have a different perspective on it. Like when you're in grade school and that kid is annoying you in class, you're just annoyed. When you're an adult and you see that kid acting out in class, you're like, what's happening? What's really going on? And there's a lot of grace and compassion I think we have to foster for ourselves that allows us to see like that was just how I was responding then. And as I have learned about you and the different things that you've already shared, you said that part of why you think you like to be why you're a comedian, why you like to make people laugh is because it's bringing that happiness, is bringing that joy. And there was a time you had shared that you felt like God really had a purpose for you, even though you were in the thick of the darkness and you didn't want to be here anymore and you were struggling so deeply. There was something in you saying no, and God was there and he was like, nope, I've got a plan for you. So when you share the things that you enjoy, what I'm gathering is it's generally a reflection of who you are. More than what you're doing, it's like who you are. And I think that's a really special thing because it kind of speaks to the fact that even if you don't know what to do with this, God is saying to you, there's a purpose for you. And I've been so curious to just hear your view on how that purpose has evolved with you over those years.
well, it's funny because I think that without God, without the belief that when you do feel in those low places, like without that belief that there is something, someone, the universe, God, whomever, like outside of yourself, that believes, that's looking out for you, like so many synchronicities have happened in my life that there is just not a way for me to not believe that there's a God.
Totally.
but also I've learned through my life that like sometimes his absence, or the feeling of absence, is also too like propelling me towards growth, like propelling me towards the purpose, right? Where it's like they say like rejection is God's protection, and sometimes it's like, God, like why is this happening, or why do I feel this way, or where were you, in this moment? And it's like, oh well, if I had gotten that immediate like answer or relief, I wouldn't have continued, I wouldn't have pushed forward, I wouldn't have built fortitude, I wouldn't have built the character, I wouldn't have, you know been tenacious and like, okay, well then I guess we got to figure it out, like,
Totally.
um and I think purpose a lot of times is, it's intrinsically like in us, like we know it. It's just like what you said, you used the word like unlock, right? Like you just unlock something and it's like, oh, this is what I'm the you know what I mean? Like, okay. Um, I think that also too, growing up, like therapy and like the resources that we have now to like access healing weren't really available. And so I think acting for me played a massive part in my growth as a person emotionally, because I didn't really have like an outlet. And so it allowed me to kind of explore emotions that the characters were going through, that maybe it was something also too that I was struggling with, that I had to kind of navigate. And so that just even like navigating through those emotions created a lot of healing. Still made a lot of mistakes, but and a lot of U-turns and turnarounds and roundabouts. But ultimately, acting helped me like access those emotions and access like that purpose and access, that community with God,
That's so interesting, actually. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective, but I can imagine if you didn't have the space to do anything but protect yourself and try to provide for yourself, and emotions couldn't really necessarily be explored to their depths, but maybe they were sought through behavior in an effort to meet a need that wasn't being met. Then you get older, you start exploring acting, and you have to represent a particular emotion, but if you have not let yourself experience it, it's almost that's an immersive way of getting in touch with a part of yourself that maybe's been shut down or not explored before. Were there any roles that were pivotal for you that you remember, like, wow, that really taught me something about myself?
Not I can't pinpoint one specific like role, but I mean, I've taken probably every acting class and every I'm from Texas, so in Texas, and then I'm moving out to LA, taking like so many acting classes where you leave and you're you're empty, right? The tank is empty. Like you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable. And I think vulnerability truly is truly the what I think accessing vulnerability is what helped me access those other emotions. Because without vulnerability, you can't. And so I can't remember any specific role, but I definitely could say, okay, I was in this one acting class and I remember the walls came down and I allowed myself to feel those emotions. And I left feeling like, oh wow, like, okay, I'm gonna be okay, or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's very clear. And I think it's great that you found and had that outlet. But why acting? What was it that made you go down the route of comedy and acting and now, of course, writing and filmmaking?
Because I want to be a star. I want my name in lights. um, I mean, no, I think I just always loved, like I said, making people happy, performing. I love the craft of it. I love like diving deep into a character and bringing just a little piece of me um, in it. And it's just it is kind of hard to explain, but there is just nothing else I can do. Nothing else that I want. I mean, besides bodybuilding and fitness and but I think I found an affinity for performance, and I really just do love it.
That's so cool. And to be able to find that thing that you feel is really like your bread and butter is it's such an amazing feeling. And even though we will get into your journey as an athlete, I'm just very curious about your journey as a creator too. And I want to talk about X Weeks Out. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's talk about it because this is going to really, I think, maybe strike a chord with the audience too. So maybe we go to what X Weeks Out is in your eyes and how you came up with it, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so X Weeks Out, it kind of has evolved over time. But what sparked it was um I had gotten really close to some pretty big roles and of course didn't get it. And um people were saying, okay, well, if you want to play the role that you really want, write your own stuff. Um, and so, I've always loved like coming of age stories like Rocky, I always like love this character in the first Terminator, and the actor's name's Linda Hamilton, but she was always like super jacked. And, I always just wanted to play like and be that to feel like an empowered character, but to also create like an opportunity for myself to do something that maybe not somebody was going to just do it for me, meaning auditioning or whatever. So that's where it kind of sparked. Like I was like, okay, what kind of character would I want to play, and like what's the message? Like what do I want to portray. And no one had really done anything with bodybuilding. And if they do, it's like always very much about the drugs and like what roid rage does, and
Yeah.
you know, just all the hardships that come. And of course, those are there. And I just kind of wanted to show bodybuilding in a light that I think was positive, because it has done so much for people. And I've talked to so many women, and they're like, I went through a divorce, or my kids left the house, or I saw so and so on Instagram and I thought, could I do that? And I wanted to, it's kind of like love letter to them, in that those things, they spark a journey. But I think being able to kind of see the journey through to actually make it to stage, even if it's just one show, like there is nothing in this world that can happen to somebody that can sustain them through a prep or multiple preps all the way to the end. Like there's something inside you that you've got to pull out. Like, yeah, that it can inspire it. Yeah, you can go through a breakup and you can say, I'm going to show him, like, I'm going to be the baddest bitch ever, you know? Well, after about 10 weeks of dieting, you know, cardio, hours of cardio, you're not really thinking about him anymore. You're like, man, do I really want to do this? Like, you know, and then all of a sudden you're asking yourself, like, do I want this? Do I got to do this? And do I have this? And then you realize you do. And it becomes about you and your relationship with you and what you can do and what your capabilities are and what your possibilities are, and your ability to overcome like the ick of, I do not want to go to the gym. Like this ain't it. you know. So all of that, to say all of that, that's what kind of sparked it. I'm a comedian. I love comedy. I love writing comedy. And so I wanted to make it funny, because so much of what we do in prep is like funny, like, you know,
It is.
so that's really what did. But she does go through a divorce, um and so it's evolved into this proof of concept for a series that I'm developing and writing, that I think that people would enjoy, because it's, you know, bodybuilding is a small part of our lives, although we kind of build around it when we're prepping for a show. But there's so many things that happen that we have to overcome and get through to get to stage, and just kind of showing that aspect of it.
So true. I think that's awesome that you're creating a series around it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I've learned so much through that process of, and also too, like actually prepping through the process.
Mhm.
Um, you know, is tough, because prep really does take, especially if you want to get to the pro league, it takes so much, you know. At some point you've got to like make that your sole focus. Um, and the other stuff kind of, you know. So I'm like, okay, if we make this into a series and I'm, you know, cast as the lead actor, am I going to be able to actually prep and look the way I want to look, or the way a pro looks, and also shoot for 12,
Uh,
14 hours a day, you know? So
yeah, good point. That must be just interesting in general, the way you present your body as an actor, it would affect your lifestyle.
truly, I mean, if you're like, similarly, like when I didn't like water load or peak for the to shoot, because it's only her first show. So I kind of had like a little bit of like, you know,
Leeway,
leniency
yeah.
there. I mean, also too, I produced it and I wrote it. So there was just so much of like the prep work that went into shooting, that it would just been impossible. Just the prepping of the food and the actual eating, and then the cardio. Like, okay, I have a meeting here and a meeting here, and you know, like, and I'm exhausted. So yeah, but we got it done. I don't want to say I know that there are women that compete that are doctors. I don't know how you do it. Moms, I don't know how you do it, because just making this movie, my baby, took so much, Um, but yeah, I guess they said that like Hugh Jackman didn't want to do like Wolverine anymore because he was having to like peak for like a 3 second scene, like, and he's like,
That's
I
fair.
feel miserable. Yeah, like I'm dehydrated,
Yeah.
and if you're shooting for multiple days, you can't be dehydrated all those days,
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and I absolutely have had such an amazing um experience, like going to these film festivals and like people asking questions about the sport and being so interested and what is it like, how because although our community is very tight knit and we all know what each other's going through, like, and yes, of course, actors work out and filmmakers work out and people go to the gym, but it's a completely different process. And so it has been pretty cool, like to tell other people like what it is and what it's about, and that no, not everyone is like throwing tables and you know,
Killing your
noise.
spouse.
Yeah, it's pretty it's interesting to hear some of the assumptions, I guess.
So that was really, when you said that, I was like, that is the truth. Like, I've said this before on the podcast, but I always point out to people, like, you're gonna assume what you will assume about something based generally on what, like, media shows you. So, like,
Right.
when most of bodybuilding is like, oh, I killed someone, or oh, I overdosed, or oh, I ended up dying of that, that's the message that gets sent. But when you're saying, well, we're missing a whole part of it, and that's that heart. That's what is bodybuilding? What does it bring to women? And I love how you looked to others in the industry who you know and who you respect their journey, and you're able to showcase that, because I think a lot of us can feel misunderstood in the real world. So you're providing an opportunity for others to understand competing in a new light, and also for a place where competitors can identify themselves in the movie. And what was really cool too is you even had Maureen in the movie. So how
That was so crazy. I mean, first of all, she is an amazing human. Like, and I think that that's something that's not talked about enough. It's how amazing so many competitors are. Like, they are beautiful, resilient humans,
yeah.
aside from this. Like, this is just a part of, I mean, obviously, there's going to be people that are jerks, but for the most part, I mean, people are beautiful and they're wonderful, and like, and I love people and I want to be around people, especially good people. But I was apprehensive because I know that she's the baddest, and I had reached out to a lot of pros, and a lot of people were like, huh, like what is this, like it's a YouTube, like I'm like, no, it's actually like a narrative, like it's a story. um and so, and she's was pretty quiet at the gym, and I had never really approached her. And so when I messaged her, she immediately got back to me. And we did have other actors that did audition, and they all did like awesome auditions. Um, but she messaged me back and she was like, I'm all about it. I had her do an audition, and yeah, didn't know that she was going to win the best in the world. I
Yeah,
mean, she had already won
literally.
fourth, but I was already so excited to have her. I was totally fangirling when she came to set. I kind of had to like rear it back a little bit, like, yeah, just but um yeah, so she came and she was so fun and so nice. She's been so nice. She's been so supportive. And then she wins Miss Bikini Olympia. And I was able to kind of really use that to promote the film, because during our promotion, the actors struck. So some of these accomplishments that other actors, like my director, was nominated for an Emmy, like, you know, her show was nominated for 4 Emmys that she's on, and she's an amazing director. She's just killing it. But we couldn't say anything about it because of the strike. So the strike prevented us from being able to promote any projects. So I was able to like really capitalize on the fact like, hey, I got Miss Bikini Olympia in this movie. And so I'd love to work with her again. And she's just such an inspiration to me. And the shorties out there.
Yeah, literally. That's so awesome. Yeah, I think that also is cool because you're taking someone who really does get it, and we're gonna identify her, you know, if we see her, and we'll be like glad that she represented for the division really and for women.
Well, my whole thought in the character was, who's gonna run, because she's the neighbor, and so who's gonna be running down the sidewalk that's gonna make you go, whatever she's doing,
Yeah,
I want it. I want that, you know, whatever she's eating, saying, living, I want to do that, you know.
that's totally her. And
Totally her.
yeah, literally, because she's the whole package, right? And she's a total sweetheart. So
She is. And she's like, well, I'm off season.
Bitch.
I'm like, girl, yeah, off season is like my stage.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go.
That's so cute. I love to hear that actually, because you know, we all have those thoughts. And I think just you said something earlier too, you know, with the fact that most of the times bodybuilding's shown in a certain light. Did you get any pushback from the creating a movie like this, or when you thought of it, did anyone say, no, I don't think you should do that?
Well, I had a little bit of imposter syndrome because I was feeling like I'm not like I'm not a pro, you know, and I'm an amateur, but I'm not even an amateur that's really won anything, you know. I'm like, and I'm not a trainer, so I'm not like in the mix. I think I hadn't really networked with a lot of the names, even though I've loved bodybuilding my whole life. I have always been a fan of all divisions. um there wasn't necessarily pushback from their end. It was more a pushback from myself, like, you know, that fear of, is anyone gonna take me serious? Do I even have the experience or the clout to even talk on a topic like this? You
Mm.
know, like they're gonna say, who's she? You know, in my original pitch deck, I I had like Arnold in it, you know, and I'm like, we're gonna get Arnold. You know, of course the budget didn't allow for that, and it's a lot of jumping through hoops. But you know, I was it was more of pushback from my end. Everyone that I emailed, I mean, some people, of course, they just don't respond, but everyone that I emailed, you know, the organization, the promotion companies, other bodybuilders, they're like, how can I help? Like, what can I do? What can I, you know, not a lot of people know this, but it ended up being a scheduling conflict. But we originally had Breon as the trainer. And so he was like, this sounds so cool. And like, he was, you know, he's an actor, and, you know, Kai Green's an actor. You know, so it was like, people, I think, were more receptive than I gave them the credit for.
That's a great point, and something that I think many of us can relate to. I know I can, even with this podcast, where I was like, okay, like what, I'm doing this because success leaves clues, but who am I? Like you said, like I've only won first place like once in amateur division. Like who am I to do a podcast like this? But when you have passion and you have insight and you have that drive and you've been in it for so long, it's like, I think that gives you the authority, because you represent, and no amount of trophies or shows can really quantify or exemplify someone's love and passion for the sport. And as you said, you have been a fan of bodybuilding through and through, not just bikini, but over the whole year. So I had an interesting question for you. I want to know who your favorite champions have been over the years for maybe every a couple divisions you could think of, and why were they your favorite?
Well, I mean, God, I have so many favorites. Oh man, my dream would be to compete in physique or bodybuilding at some point. Um, but I mean, that's years down the line. But I've loved like Linda Murray. Like, I mean, you're talking about like Rachel McClish. Like, we're talking like the '80s, right? Ronnie Coleman. Um, this guy, I can't remember his name, but he won in 1983, and he has the most beautiful physique. And I mean, just so many. I always think Chris Bumstead. I'm just a huge fan of his journey, his trajectory, his physique. I mean, he's just so aesthetic. I mean, everyone loves his physique. I love Kai Green. Anytime I'm feeling down, there's this one posing routine that he did at the Arnold, and I mean, I watch that and I get so hyped. But I mean, I've been competing a really long time as well, so I'm like, Ashley Caldwalter, to me, to know that I'm going to be competing at a show where she is going to maybe potentially be standing next to me is
Yeah.
so crazy. Angelica Teixeira, like, she's coming back. I love Jessica. She's a figure competitor. Like, I mean, there's just so many, so many. I feel like I'm kind of like not giving it myself enough credit because I'm like not coming up with the names, but I just love it. I watch it all the time.
I can tell you love it. There's no doubt about that. And I think it's amazing that we have this opportunity in bodybuilding to know and compete with people who have been in it for a very long time, whether that's you knowing a bodybuilder like Kai Green and potentially him stopping by at Gold's Venice, or Arnold stopping by at Gold's Venice, for example, or working out there, or you seeing them, like, that's history, right? And then you have like Linda Murray. She was at the women's workshop last year, and I was like, you get to see these this is history. And I think that sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the now. It's happening right now. It's happening right now. But when you look around, so many of the people who have been in bodybuilding, they stay in it. Like Jay Cutler, he's continued to progress as a someone who gives back to the sport, right? Who produces for the sport, who uplifts other athletes. So we have that opportunity. You're doing that with your movie. I'm doing that with the podcast. So it's something that I think when you get immersed in this sport and you really, really love it, I'm not saying that everybody has this journey, but you'll find that a lot of people who are in it stay in it. And like you said, you are going to likely be on stage with someone like Ashley Kaltwas or someone like Angelica Teixeira. You're going to share the stage with people who've been in it for a very long time, which actually, this is a interesting and good point I'd like to get to, which is when you won your pro card, you said you want to make it to the Olympia next. And then now I'm hearing that you even want to compete as a physique competitor, as a bodybuilder. What is Amanda's plan now that, because you can compete in any division as a pro?
So here's the thing, okay?
Tell me what's up.
If I can make a movie, if I can say I'm going to make a movie and make a movie, and I can say I'm going to go pro and go pro, I have to believe that my words carry a lot of weight and have a lot of power. Not saying that the sheer amount of work that went into making those things happen isn't, uh, I'm not lost on the fact that there's so much work. But if I say I can get to the Olympia, whether it's me and my work ethic and whatever I'm going to do is going to make that happen, or someone up there, God, is listening and saying, yeah, that's the plan. Like, we got to make it happen. That is my goal. And whether if I'm the oldest bikini Olympian that ever walked that stage, so be it. You know, we're gonna keep it pushing until that happens.
Are you trying to go to the Masters Olympia too?
So that's my goal for my more recent goal,
That's your Olympia goal.
like timely goal. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
coming up.
yeah, coming up. I would like, I mean, not let's just say this. The two are so competitive, but obviously I'm a Masters competitor. I want to go to Masters Olympia first, but my ultimate goal is to make it to the Open. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Man, it's so cool. Like you have worked so hard over the years. Like I said, Amanda in 2014 was not as muscular as Amanda now.
No.
Like you were I don't know. I hate to use words to describe someone's body, but it is bodybuilding. But you were just smaller. You were like you didn't have muscle. You were just like newbie.
Well, I had gone through a really bad breakup. I had been with someone for my whole life, basically, and it was very traumatic. I was living in a city that I didn't know anybody. I had just moved to LA, and I had a falling out with my manager, who ended up going to jail for stealing over $300,000 from talent. So I was going through a lot at the time. And, there are people who eat when they're stressed and there are people who don't, who can't eat, physically eat. And I had gotten down to 90 pounds during that time. And I mean, I had no fat, but I had no muscle. I mean, it was really a really, really hard time for me. And so I was building from literal zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, like muscle memory, but if you've allowed your body to get to that, I mean, I'm sure my adrenals were completely, out of whack. I probably had no hormones at the time. So it, it was a long, long journey to building a body that had no muscle. Yeah. But I was like, if I get on stage, it'll continue to propel me forward, right? Like, yeah, I might be the skinniest girl up there, but getting those reps, like getting on stage, we're gonna make this happen.
And you evolved so much over the years, and we shared some ups and downs together. We shared some improvement seasons and preps together. I remember us both being improvement season, and we were posing in Ingrid's garage together, and we were talking about our improvement seasons, and we were hyping each other up and really keeping that faith in the journey. And I saw your commitment and your beautiful energy and passion to not just make yourself better, but make others better. And you've stayed the course through all of that. Did you ever doubt that your time would come? If you're looking for competition heels, jewelry, and fun competitor extras, then visit shoefairyofficial.com and use code CELESTE for a discount at checkout.
Yes. I think the reason why I do love bodybuilding, just to kind of take a step one back, is that in acting, you could be the best actor. You could go to the best school. You could literally you could be the son of someone famous, the daughter of someone famous. There is no guarantee. Even if you're the best, um, and that's hard because you don't see the progression, right? You don't like, am I getting better? Am I, is this ever going to happen kind of thing? But with bodybuilding, like you do the rep, the progression will come. Like there is no doubt. And I think that there is like some security for me that comes with that work, is that you do the rep, you're gonna see the results. You do the diet, you do the cardio, you're gonna see the results. And so I kind of stayed committed to that because it was the only thing that was like giving me any kind of like validation or affirmation. And so there's only a certain point in time where you're saying, I see the results. I am progressing. It's just not, it's just not there yet. To getting that pro card. So I think the doubt, there was so many doubts. Between 2020 and 2022, I had like a really hard time. I think everybody went through a really hard time. I got really sick. I gained a lot of weight. I really was the heaviest I'd ever been. I didn't even know that I could even come back to the sport. I really didn't know. And so I had a lot of doubt then, like a lot of doubt of like, I've been out of it. I don't even know if I could get down to stage weight. Like, is this even a possibility? How long would I even have to prep? And then came back, was able to get back on stage, and started winning and started, progressing. But even then, I think the doubt was always kind of there. But I think the acceptance of like, I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing this because it's intrinsically in me. And if it takes me till 2030, 2040 to have that card in my hand, like, you best believe like we're gonna stay this course,
Yeah.
So the doubt in a way almost kind of fueled me. Like we ain't stopping. Like we got back here. Like we're gonna go until it's gotten. Like
Totally. You know,
and
that's so cool to hear you say. You said this is something I know resonates with so many people, and I've heard this so many times. I've been in this mindset too. How long will it take to get back to stage weight? How should I even prep? I'm so far away. I'm the heaviest I've ever been. Those types of thoughts really dominate the minds of competitors when you're in that low place. A lot of the times it can seem so far away. And I've personally learned, like you said, when you love the journey, you're going to do it anyway. But it does take that courage to say, I can do this again. So what was that? What was it in you that made you go, no, I'm gonna try to do it, even if it seems far away? What was it that made you go, keep going?
I didn't feel good. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel good. It bodybuilding has kind of seeped into all aspects of my life, meaning mindset, the way you feel when you wake up in the morning. Like, yeah, when you're in prep, like you're tired, but like I feel when I'm even in off season, when I'm like working out, like my body feels good,
Yeah.
and I just didn't feel good. And I wanted to feel good. I wanted to feel like myself. Um, and I bless you. And I'm not really sure what kept me going. I kind of thought like, man, like it's not happening for me with acting. Like I do love it. I'm excited to get back on stage. Like let's just try to feel better and just see if I can, and if it's a possibility. And as the progression started to happen and the weight slowly started coming down, I was like, okay, I'm feeling better, looking cute in my little outfits, like, you know,
Yeah, it's like it's that speaks to what you said before. Like if you know that if you do the rep, you're gonna get the result, and you kind of have to prove that to yourself by showing up. And it's so hard to put into words a decade-long journey. And you came from a time in your life that was really challenging for you, and you really rebuilt yourself from the ground up. So, in your own words, how would you maybe describe this journey from starting in 2014 to not winning a class and an overall for 5 years from when you started, and then it taking another 5 years or so before you won your pro card? So break that down for us in your own words and what that really looked like for Amanda.
well, I think that of course, you think it's never gonna happen. You know, like you think it's never gonna happen, but like we had talked about before, um, I love the idea of like chasing a possibility, you know, and staying loving myself and staying committed enough to myself to like see something through, like see it through. I mean, I'm not saying staying in a bad in a bad relationship or in a bad situation. Like we don't see those things through. Like we have enough instincts to know that these aren't good for us. But kind of being able to go within and like decipher like, is this something that I still really want? And if the answer is yes, then we have to see it through. We have to go the distance because I don't think that I could ever look back on my life and say, damn, like I didn't give it my all. I didn't give it my best shot. And I never got to feel what it feels like to accomplish something, you know? And I'm just like, I'm that person, sadly, that has to learn the hard way. um, and I think because when you actually do accomplish it, the feeling is unmatched. It is, there is nothing like it, you know? And it gives you like this whole new confidence of like we were saying, like, man, if I could do this, like, what else can I do? Like, you know, if my goal was going to the moon, then I'm like, dang, I think we could go to the moon. You
I
know,
love
like,
that. Like you've proven it to yourself. You've proven you're capable. You've built this deep belief that you can do what you want to do and what you say you're going to do and what you set out to do. And becoming a IFBB pro is not in our industry. We think it happens all the time sometimes because on Instagram you're going to see new IFBB pro and you're going to hear the new podcast on Friday and you're going to, but it's not happening. It's not it's a rare accomplishment still is what I'm trying to get at. It still takes a lot and it's not something everyone can achieve, which is why it's such a cool, that's why it gets celebrated so much. But on the other hand, sometimes that celebration can make it seem like everybody's getting it. Why am I not getting it? Why don't I have it yet? And you get kind of almost super hungry, but to the point where it could bring you down. But it sounds like you let it fuel your fire, and it was a really cool journey for you because it taught you that you can do anything. And now you are even aiming to get to the Olympia stage, all while continuing to grow in your work. But you said earlier in the episode, you said sometimes you have to go all in on something. You got to put aside the work and you just have to do this for you. What was that the difference this season, do you think?
I think there was a lot of there was a lot of difference, a lot of differences. I think that um a couple things happened. Well, one, I do want to say that, you know, people are like, well, what's your why? Like, you know, why do you need the IFBB Bro card? Like, what are you trying to get a sponsor? Are you trying to, you know, get this? Do you like you want notoriety? You want more followers? And like anytime somebody would ask me my why, it would always kind of like change and falter. By the end, I was like, because I want to, because I want to. That's it. That's it. That's it. There's no other like, you know, why, like, you know, thing driving me besides the sheer like I have to do this. Like I want it because I want to do it. And I physically can pursue this. And that's something that I'll never put aside because going back to when I was young and I was sick, there was a life that could have existed where I wouldn't have been able to do any of this, you know. And so I have to again go back to that little girl that needs me to go to see it through, right? I think a couple of things I was thinking about this with that kind of change is patience. Like I think that when you're pursuing this, and I know everyone says that I'm not a doctor, I don't need patience. um, but um, but the truth of it is that coming to terms with the fact that it was going to take time and and staying and being committed to that. I think before, when I was like, I have to get it, it has to happen this year, it has to happen that, you know what I mean? Like, and not allowing myself to, like, it takes time. Like for some of us, it just takes time, and being committed to, do I want to put that time in? And if the answer is yes, then then that's it, right? Like, okay, it's gonna take time. All right. Is it this show? No. Is it this year? Maybe not. Is it next year? Maybe not. Okay. Well, whatever, whenever it is, we're committed to it. I think that that was like just the mindset shift. I think that doing multiple shows, I'm just that type of athlete that like just gets tighter and leaner. I mean, I think all of us are, but like if I'm in a season, like I'm not afraid to do 4 or 5 shows. I feel like I can my body can handle it. I can handle it. And Masters USA's was my 4th show just this year. So it was like we just kept getting better and better and better. And you get in, it's just like acting. Like if you get in front of the same casting director, they're not going to necessarily give you the part, but they're going to say, "Hey, I know her. She was really good last time, and she's whatever this time." Like, I don't necessarily believe in this concept of like the judges getting in front of the judges is going to make you necessarily win, but it's going to get you noticed. Oh, hey, I remember her. Like, and I just think doing those reps, getting in front of the judges, getting them to know who I am, like my physique, my presentation was important. And I think that having 2 successful off seasons really made all the difference. Yeah.
That's a great point because it wasn't just prep, 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 prep. You did have your improvement season. So when you say a successful off season, what did that look like for you compared to maybe one that wasn't as successful?
Um, Reversing properly. Um, keeping your eye on the prep prize while you're in off season, knowing that like every meal counts, like every pound that you gain counts, like, and not being obsessive about it, but being in a place where like, this is what I have to do to like reach this goal. And when they say, okay, some people can do 10% gain of their body weight. Some people can do 15%. Like some people can lean out really quickly. Like everyone, I think you have to like really know your body. For me, I have to stay on the straight and narrow. Like that's just what my physique requires. And if I don't, then it's gonna it was gonna take me that much longer to be in a prep where I was having to chase that physique, you know. And so they say it, and I have been guilty of being that person that has like really bad rebounds. And for acting, it doesn't really serve me either, because now I'm like having to shoot headshots in off season and having to shoot headshots in prep. My manager's pitching me as this fit bodybuilder, and I'm showing up as somebody that's like, if you just give me 8 weeks, 16 weeks, I can be ready for this role that shoots in 2 days, and it's like, just if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And prep has been so much more enjoyable and not easier, because nothing's easy about what we do, but it's just been a lot more enjoyable.
Definitely. I was gonna ask if acting had anything to do with it, and it sounds like there is something to having another outlet that your physique or your body or your face could, if it morphs and changes too much, it could actually be a detriment to that in some way, or limit your opportunities.
If you have to tell someone you're a bodybuilder, and I'm not saying, and there are people that do need to take some time to bulk. And I mean, again, everyone's different, but like for me, it's like I got to kind of this place of like, if I have to tell you what I am, and, and you don't already see it, then that's probably not the best way to like market
Mm,
myself. I swear I compete. I swear I work out. I've just been enjoying myself a lot the last few months,
Yeah.
like again, like it really got to a place where it was like, if I wanted this, I had to go all in all the time. Um, and I love food. I love enjoying, but the goal became bigger for me for the consistency than whatever it was that I was doing, you know, that wasn't leading me towards my goals.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel like you said something really important too, which is you have to know your body and you get to know your body. And over time, because you would develop that understanding, you can also develop approaches that serve you. And you have modified your approach to best serve your life as an athlete, as well as life outside of being an athlete, because you've taken that time and you've run into or maybe learned the hard way.
Right, right. Yep, yep, sure did. And then also too, I have to be transparent and be real here in that there was a very long, long, long time that I was natural and then evolved in my later years of competing into somebody that wasn't, So, and I'm not saying that that is the key, but what it has allowed me to do is to recover, go back to the gym and do exactly what I did the day before. And yeah, I mean, with that comes risks and constant supervision with your doctor and like monitoring your hormones and doing all that. But I don't want anyone to think that it was, it wasn't also a little assistance as well.
That's so cool of you to actually share that too. I don't think that's shared enough. And you were natural for a very long time. You said that you recently became enhanced. What was it that led you to make that decision?
I think that, and this is not, I mean, I don't need anybody like to try to comfort me, but you know, um, there was this, I think, kind of righteousness that came with saying, I'm natural, I'm doing this natural, and there was a point in time where I realized like whether I am or I'm not, like no one's giving me an award or a trophy for it,
Yeah,
right?
true.
Like no one's saying you're such a great person because you're a natural athlete. You know what I mean? It doesn't make you a a better, more wholesome athlete. Like if I'm honest, I was always in pain. Like I was always sore. I was always hurting. I was always tired. And now I feel good and now I look, I like, and I mean, I'm not saying that, um, if it that has is your choice, that you don't have the choice. I am an advocate for anyone having freedom of choice. Like, you choose what is best for you and your physique. But when I let go of this idea that like I was better because I was like, it was like, who am I doing this for? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of I actually know some very high level athletes that are natural, and that's their physique allows for that. Mine just didn't at the time. I don't take a lot, but
Yeah. You
it's
know, oh, go ahead.
it was just a choice um that I made, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm glad for me that I did.
That is a really positive way of looking at it. Because if you had said I did it and I regret it and I shouldn't have done it, then we'd be having a different conversation. But you were really confident in that decision that you made. And I love how you said I don't need anybody to come for me because you're reaffirming that this was your choice. This is something you wanted to do for you. And I think sometimes like I talk about how I'm a natural athlete and I realize this in our industry. When you do that, people will think you're saying I'm better than you, or they'll think you're lying. So either way, whatever you choose what you're actually really and that's the message you're sharing. Choose what you actually are comfortable with, because I know that if you become an IFBB pro, everyone's going to question if you're actually natural. And if you do it naturally, no one's going to tell you extra kudos necessarily. Maybe once on Confessions of a Bikini Bro podcast, just because we're talking about it. But otherwise, it's not going to be on the billboard.
Well, I think that people, and rightfully so, I think that people who are natural want to hear that their favorite athlete or that their athlete is natural. So then guess what? Now it's a possibility for me.
Exactly.
Now I feel affirmed and validated in my choice to be natural because the person that I aspire to be is natural. Well, it doesn't take or give anything away for that person. You could be the anomaly that is natural, that can look like these high level athletes that aren't. It shouldn't deter you or uninspire you to find out that your favorite athlete is not natural. I'm a part of this chat, and they're talking about these actors that are doing these different films, and they're like, they're definitely juicing. And it's like, yeah,
And
they are. um, like, how do you think that person looked like that? And 10 weeks or whatever. Does it does it make them the character? Like, like what's the judgment? But it goes back to the what we have put out and some of the tragedies that have happened, in our sport of it's will kill you, it's bad, that. And I'm not saying I am, please, I don't want anyone to
she's
think
not
that
a doctor, y'all. She's not trying.
I'm not a doctor. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't risks, because there, of course, with anything. I mean, even with just prepping natural is a risk. Like,
There's so many risks with prepping naturally to get the conditioning that you need to get to stand next to someone who's enhanced, and in general to meet the level of which they're looking to get from us. It's a risk for sure. Like that's a big deal too.
but also too, it's like sometimes they see somebody and it makes them feel better to think, oh, this person is natural. And if they're not, it's because of PEDs. And that is not the truth. I promise you that people who are enhanced are working just as hard, if not that much harder, to maximize the potential and the benefits of whatever it is that they're taking. If we're gonna do the risk, the squeeze, the juice has to be worth the squeeze, right? So it's like, I'm not gonna just take something and then sit back and like be like, oh, the resorts will come. Oh no, well, if I'm taking this and I'm risking my health, my hormones, my longevity in this life, like, then I better push it to as far as I can go physically.
Yeah. That's a great point too. You're not denying that there's risks. It was for you a risk you were willing to take for the result that you wanted and that you were seeing in your life. And like you also mentioned, it doesn't make you any less or any more of an athlete or any more wholesome or any less wholesome. It's just a decision that athletes make, and in this league have a right to make, because if you want to compete in a natural league, you can do that. This is not one of them. If you want to compete in a natural NPC show, there are some. So I think that's kind of a benefit too, is everyone's in their journey and making decisions on their own. So why judge? Just like I wouldn't want to be judged for choosing to be natural. It's like, so why would I want to judge someone for choosing to be enhanced, especially when most of the I would say it might be changing now because of social media, but I think most of the enhanced athletes were natural for a very long time and reached a level of physique and potential that got them so close and got them so far, but they realized like they could maybe just go that extra bit, but they still look incredible natural, and if they stopped, they would still look incredible. So it doesn't take away from that. It's called enhanced for a reason. It's not was terrible, now is great. It's was great, now is a little bit greater.
Right, right. I mean, agreed. Totally agreed. Also, too, like just to also a disclaimer, like I am a master's competitor. So, there were things about my hormones there was just things about my just chemical makeup and my age that needed a little help. So,
Great point.
yeah, I just didn't want to go and I didn't want two things to happen. I didn't want to be like, and all this hard work, because it has been grueling. It's been a struggle, and we got here, not because of just that, like, oh, well, she got it now because she decided that she wasn't going to be natural anymore. I mean, probably was a part of it, but the work still happened. I promise you the work happened.
I know that to be true for you too. And I mean, I don't think anyone could deny that, especially when you're in this sport and you're really in it. You
Right.
can't deny that hard work and the discipline and the commitment that it takes. And I appreciate you being so candid about it as well, especially because you mentioned some of the benefits too, and also given you're a master's competitor as well. And then the fact that, yeah, competing naturally poses its own risks, just like competing enhanced does. So no matter what, competing, like anything you want to give your whole heart to, your all to, is going to pose risks. Running a business poses risks. Being an actor poses risks. It's, are you willing to take that risk, and how comfortable are you? Whether that's, I'm going to go this way or this way, it doesn't matter. But if you make the decision for yourself and only solely for yourself, because before you were choosing the other way for other people. So now you're like, wait, what would I really do if it was for me? And then you did.
Right. I mean, I had a girlfriend of mine say, "Well, what do you want to look like? What is your like dream physique?" And I said, "I want to look like this." And then she's like, "Yeah, well, sad to tell you, I don't want to break your heart, but that person is taking, something."
Yeah.
And I remember I was like so like sad and like, and things have evolved. I mean, things have evolved. Information is more accessible. I think a lot more women are coming and saying, "Hey, like, no, I won't lie. That's the thing. I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'm not, and I also don't want to mislead anyone either."
Mhm.
Um, so if people ask, I say yes. If they don't ask, then, okay.
Yeah, that's right. I respect that a lot. I think most people respect that. I actually think it's worse to be an enhanced athlete who claims natty than it is to be.
And the only reason why is because I believe that I'm not the only person in the world. I think most of us just don't like liars.
Yeah.
Want we don't like we don't like manipulation. We don't like lying. And that's why I'm like, bodybuilders are good people.
Exactly.
Like some of the best people I know like are bodybuilders. And I think, just no one just likes to be lied to, you know.
Yeah. Bodybuilders, we be in the gym way too long for a normal person. Like we're putting ourselves through too much to not be going through something mentally like that.
Right.
I feel like there's so much compassion, there's so much empathy, because most of these people, men included, are like fighting some sort of demon, in their mind. And that's competing often sometimes I think starts as an outlet for people, and then it turns into, which goes back to your movie, but then it turns into something so much deeper.
Truly. Um and like we talk about, going back to talking about God, I think like when you're in that solitude and you're got your headphones on and you're in that place, there's nothing that is vibing more high or the high frequency and where you truly feel like God's presence. Maybe it's the endorphins, but to me spiritually, I feel like that is my time. Like I come up with my best jokes. I come up with my best concepts and proof of concepts for ideas. Like I get words all the time. Like, hey, I was like on the treadmill during peak week and I had a blue bikini and I had a thing, was running and I had this vision of my red bikini. And I had worn it like in 2 years. And I came off the treadmill and I was like, I'm gonna wear red, and so it's just, I know that sounds so silly, but
No, it's like it's so,
but
so relatable. There's those moments where like you're so connected to yourself and you're so connected to the source. You're so connected to God that it's like you get that nudge and you're like I literally came up with this podcast while walking on the treadmill in my garage.
right.
Now like that wouldn't have happened otherwise because I just wouldn't have been as connected. So I think that makes perfect sense to me. And I'm sure most people listening will be like, oh my gosh, literally like my best ideas or insights. And sometimes you just, like, oh, just go take a walk. You need to just take a walk to
Yeah.
think. So when you're in the gym and you're putting that energy in, and for most people too, it's like that's their, like you said, that's their time. Otherwise, you're busy working or you're being there for other people or you're contributing in some way or you're working and not getting that time for yourself where that becomes a space where you can create an opportunity to connect on a deep level.
Totally.
I want to hear more about your husband really quick. So,
Okay.
yeah, because you guys have a really cool relationship, and the journey of how your relationship started was pretty funny to like where you guys are at now. And I'm just curious to hear about how he supports you and also how you support him because I'm going to be straight up. And I don't know if your husband plays any roles like this, but I think if I ever saw like my guy like kissing someone in a movie because he's an actor too, right? So if he's he's not.
He's not.
Oh my gosh, I would have. So okay,
No,
I'm
he is
correct.
he's very talented. He can sing, and but I always say, like, make a joke like he likes money more. Because two starving artists, I don't know if that'll work.
That's
Um,
for some reason I totally thought he's been uh
I
in
mean,
movies.
he's done like he's done commercials. He was on the cover of like a romance novel.
Oh,
He was
okay.
like a model. He lived in New York. He was like a model for a long time. But yeah, now he works in tech.
That's cool. Okay, so yeah, I was about to go down a whole rabbit hole of like how you guys work through that. So talk to me about the relationship and how you guys support each other then.
So you know, both of us kind of met at a place where we were on the come up, I guess is like the easiest way to say. And he did a couple of shows. He is natural, so he was like didn't really see a future for himself in in bodybuilding to where he wanted to be. So he kind of shifted and he went back into like martial arts, which he has a second degree black belt in Taekwondo, and now he trains in Muay Thai. But uh, we kind of met, while we were both trying to figure out our purpose, like work towards our purpose. And so the thing that I love most about him is that we've truly like evolved into these people that we've become. And he really has allowed me the space to do that. And I've allowed him the space to do that. Like the best thing about our relationship, I think, is we both have like our separate identities, like we have our own separate friend groups, and we have our own separate things that we like to do. He goes to the Muay Thai gym at night, I go to the regular gym, but then we come together and are able to support each other. We don't have children, we made that choice, but so that does allow us more space, because I know I have a lot of friends that have kids, and kids are beautiful creatures that need a lot of love and attention. And so we have dogs, but I think that has allowed us, to kind of be able to do these things that we love to do. Not saying that if you have kids that you can't. I don't want it to come across like
That's
that,
just
but
approached it.
yeah. And so we've allowed each other to like really flourish and blossom in those areas of what we think we really want for our own lives, and how that works into our combined life. But he's so supportive. I mean, it's so funny. He wasn't there when I won my pro card.
Oh no.
So he came for prejudging and he had left, and because our dog almost died like while I was in peak week, and so he was like not wanting to be away from our dog, which that's like a whole nother thing. But so he came back to the house, and we knew I had maybe had a chance to, because you had to win the overall to get the pro card. And we knew that I had maybe had a chance to win my class, but he was like, well, it always takes a long time. So by the time I come check on the dogs and I come back, if you're in the overall, I'll be able to see it. Like, but he wasn't like rushing or anything. I mean, he
Yeah.
sat through like, y'all know, like bodybuilding shows are like 16 hours long. Like it's hard for someone to do it every time. So he usually comes for prejudging or he'll come for final. So he was like, I'll just come. And so my best friend was there and she was like, she's in the overall, like they're about to go on stage. And so he's driving like 100 miles an hour
Oh,
down the road. If anyone's a comp, like I'm just kidding. He was going like 50. No.
this is the story that needs some exaggeration.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a writer, so and so yeah, when they said my name, he wasn't in the room,
No way.
when I saw him, I don't I he's not really like a cry kind of guy, but he was like, you inspire me. I've never been so proud, and I've never been so inspired. Like, damn, like you said you'd do it, and you did it. And like, I mean, he's been there, and he helps me prep my food. I mean, he's just been there every step of the way. And
Wow.
so yeah, he was just so happy and so proud. And then it like inspired him to like, hey, you know what? Maybe I want to like take a fight, or maybe I want to like, like do something more. I want to optimize. I want to be out, like, so.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm bummed you couldn't be there, but it sounds like it was still that perfect moment where you guys could celebrate that coming to fruition, and he's been there by your side. Like you said, you guys met while you were on the come up, and I think that's also a really special thing that you can both see each other through that grind and see you achieve your goals and be able to do that together. So that's just amazing. And obviously, you've transformed yourself as a person and an athlete through this sport, and you have these big goals. You've put them out into the world and you're saying what you want to accomplish. So now that you're here, what are your next steps? Like, are you prepping now? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm prepping. I'm 10 weeks out. So I'll be doing Border Clash. Oh, no, Clash Championships.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my feedback when I got off stage, so I stood in line, like I waited because Sandy was giving feedback after the show. Even though I had won my pro card, I was like, I still wanted to kind of see like where we were at. And I talked with Kim, my coach, and he was like, let's see what the deal is. And so she was like, I want to see you go on stage. Let's see where you land. Like, you don't know who else is going to show up, but she was saying, maybe a little tighter in the glutes, and then, but don't get any leaner. So just come back with this, like, a little zhuzh, and, let's see where you go. She's like, I don't think you need to grow. I don't think you need to, take time off. So we're going at it again.
That's freaking awesome. I can't wait. I mean, I've had Joe on the show a few times who produces The Clash, and I think
Yeah.
it'll be awesome. Now, I I really want to ask you this. I feel like I kind of did, but I wasn't clear. Do you have plans to ever try to compete in other divisions, like in the future?
Yeah. I mean, so I just like love physique, and I want to do a pose down. I want to pose,
Yes.
so maybe when I'm like 60 or 70, when I'm like really enhanced, I could, I'd really go there. And um, yeah, I love the figure division too, but my heart is with bikini. Like I think that makes me the most bookable in acting as well. So, stay kind of this size for a while, and just go to the Olympia. I want to do the Arnold. I want to meet Arnold. I want him to do my series.
Yeah,
um,
that'd be epic.
So, yeah, I have a lot of really, really big goals, and I'm done like playing small. I'm done with like these small, like little, like, well, maybe kind of sort of like, let's just go for broke and see what happens. And so yeah, Olympia, Masters Olympia,
Let's
compete with
go.
Ashley, compete with Angelica, like go to
Let's
the
go.
Arnold. I want to compete in Japan at the Japan Pro. So yeah.
That'd be amazing. Man, I'm so excited for you. And I've just loved talking, of course, to you this entire time. But is there anything I didn't ask you that you think I should have before we get your best advice?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay. All right. So let me get your best advice then. So, best advice for someone who has never competed before but is thinking about it. And then your best advice for someone who's on their road to pro.
Someone who's never competed before, I would say, like I always say, like Nike, just do it. Like, show us what you're made of. Like, show yourself, more importantly, like what you're made of. And um, I don't think that anyone can really explain to someone like how hard it can be, especially like we were talking about before, like life is going to continue to happen. Like the sun's still gonna come up, like people are gonna pass away, like you're going to lose your job, you're going to make a career shift, you're going to have kids, your kids are going to have things like weddings, like so much still happens, and I think that that's what makes it hard. But the the pride that you're able to say, like, despite all that, I was still able to like push through and see it through regardless of the trophy. People say regardless of the trophy because the trophy does matter sometimes. That feeling is incredible, and I don't think that that should be the only reason or you should only chase that, but like, yeah, be proud, girl. You won. Like, you got on stage, and I'm going to start, I want to teach group classes. So in fitness as like kind of like my like supplemental income, like day job thing. And so I'm having to get certified to be a personal trainer. And we are even though we are surrounded by a community of bodybuilding, like in the world, in the actual world where people live, work, we are a very small, small, small sector of people. Like, and there is so much pride that goes into being able to say you did it, your health is your priority, and you accomplish that, because there are so many people in this world that aren't that and are sick because of it. So I say just do it, believe in yourself, you can. And then for somebody that's trying to go pro, girl, just do that one more rep, that extra rep. Kim did call it. He said the right show, the right day, the right time. I started my period the day before um my show, and I was holding a lot of water. And I kind of always hold water, and so we always kind of have to pull a little harder. But I was like feeling like a little bloated and just not really feeling it. Um, but what ended up happening is just that little amount of water that I was holding ended up filling me out in the spots that maybe needed it, that were depleted. And so you just, the right day, the right time, the right show, the right judge, the stars align, and it's yours. And I just think everyone just needs to work towards that day. It will be your day. Like I told you, the day is gonna come, whether it's this year, next year, 2 years, 3 years, as long as you come to terms with, I'm okay with the time, the day will come.
That's so beautiful. And that's like honestly the reminder I think we all need. Like, let go of the timeline. If you're in it, to be in it, keep showing up. And I love that right show, right time, right place. I think that's a beautiful takeaway. And something that speaks to so much of what you shared in your journey. And I want people to be able to connect with you moving forward, reach out and learn about you and follow your journey. So maybe share that. And also, can you share how people can watch your movie and eventually, potentially see the series too when it comes out?
Yeah. So we're currently for my movie, we're currently in the film festival circuit. So we're still showcasing the film, like getting feedback, um, and and being able to show it like to people who could actually help make it a series. So like other industry professionals. And so it's not ready to be shown yet, but we are getting close to that time. But it's so good and it's so cute. I'm very, very proud of it.
I cannot wait to see it. I seriously can't wait. I've been so eager.
And I watch it too sometimes, but I know just to kind of just to watch it, and even then I'm like, okay, it still has me in the feels. So
Oh,
I think it will be I think you'll love it when you see it. Um, but yeah, I'm Amanda does it all on Instagram. I'm really trying to show up more on that. I feel like I get so like deep in whatever it is that I'm doing, um and I really just want to always put out like light in the world. And so if I don't like, I mean, yes, it's my highlight reel because I'm not trying to overshare and put out, anytime I'm going through it, So, but I am committed to showing up more on there. And then potentially, doing like a YouTube series, a documentary style, more um, like not narrative, but like who I am, me, like putting myself out there more as like an athlete as opposed to like writing a character for myself to, put out there.
love
Um,
that.
but yeah, also too, I did want to say like when I was up there for the overall, we were up there for like 5 minutes. So they like moved me in the center, they moved me out all the way to the end, they moved me back to the center, they called us off the stage, then they put us to the side, they called us all back again. We did the walk back. You know, all I can say is fight for yourself, like fight for it. I think own it. Do do everything you can to tell yourself that you got it, you got this. And I think like had we gone to the side and then they called us back out and I would have like deflated or been like, oh, like, is it my day? I was like, okay, you want to see it again? Let's go. All right, front pose, back pose, like, all right, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, girls, but it's been too long. Like it's my day, like, um, and just giving yourself the opportunity to like feel it in your bones. Cause like even if it hadn't have happened, like in that moment, my body didn't know the difference. Like
Yeah.
your body doesn't know the difference between you getting it or not because you feel it, you feel like a winner. So
I love that story. It actually reminds me of I was like scrolling back through your Instagram last night just because it gets me in that zone. And you had a skit where you were like, or it was a reel of some sort, but you had like pictures of all the girls behind you, and it was like
oh,
you
I'm actually gonna repost that because I was just thinking about that.
do it.
Okay, because it's what it is, guys, is like um they always say it's you versus you, and so it's me, and then in the background it's like a picture of all the girls lined up, and I'm like, if it's me versus me, like who are all these girls?
You're like,
Like,
who was
yeah.
that? Who was that? Oh, it's so true. I'm like, it ain't just you versus you. We're up there. And like you said, it's the battle. So when you were talking about fighting for it, I just like I was trying not to chuckle when you were talking because I was like thinking of that real like man, I miss your skits. Like I
Okay, okay,
so
I'm gonna start doing that. I am gonna repost that because at the end,
do
well,
it.
y'all will see, but at the end it's like, come on, like, yes, and you know what, I this whole time I have been saying it is really you versus you. Like you want to always progress and it's about the progression, but on the day, like there are other girls there,
Exactly. Oh, y'all showed up today too. Okay.
Oh, okay. And it's not just one of you. It's just a few. It's a few. You know.
Like, this is the
Yeah.
biggest class of all of the NPC shows we've ever done. You're like, of course it is.
Of course it is. But also, I mean, and now that I'm gonna go compete in Orlando, all these girls that I've been following and love, and like they're so sick, and every day I'm like commenting like perfection, and I'm like, oh, they going to Orlando.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be there. Like, okay, so maybe I won't, skip this last 5 minutes of cardio. Maybe I'll do an extra 5 minutes, maybe I won't, skip this meal. Maybe I'll eat exactly the way I'm supposed to, because if this girl's showing up, I gotta show up.
I
So
love that. Yeah, it like drives you more. So I'll put your Instagram in the show notes page. Amanda does it all. And you guys, that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you are listening right away, it's at the top of the page. If you're listening in the future, scroll down to the category section and it's alphabetized. Not only will you see the links to connect, and of course, hopefully you'll tag us and let us know your thoughts, but you'll also see a full breakdown of the episode. So it'll be a summary, a bulleted list of topics covered, and the episode timestamps, so you can go back to your favorite part of the episode, re-listen, share it with your friends, your teammates, your family, and let them know that they should check it out too. That always means a lot to us. So thank you, Amanda, for coming on.
oh my gosh, it's been so amazing. And again, I always tell you this personally, but the world needs to know that I just love you. And I just think that you're such a light and such an inspiration, and, truly the epitome of a woman on a mission who is helping so many, and really breathing life in an area of this sport that I think truly needed it,
Thank
so continue it, because you're helping so many.
Thank you so much. And for the record, I love you too. And and you guys, Amanda was like the very first person I called about doing mental health for competitors. I was like thinking about this, what are some of the struggles you faced? And you're the first person I went to for market research, and it's just been that full circle moment where now I'm getting to serve in this way. So hearing you say that years ago and then hearing you say it now too and seeing it in action, it means a lot to me.
Man, if we were there and we're here now, imagine. Let's do this again and let's see what we do. I might be holding an Oscar at that time. I don't know. I mean, you might be like at the Olympia. So let's see.
Yeah, well, we'll be there together, you see.
Yes.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just